Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The forest thunders with the approach of the Cloven ones as they face off against the Lizardmen. We have Honeynut commanding the Beastmen forces, and Sawindra will be leading the Lizardmen. Now, for the Beastmen, we have gone full Centaur army here. We do have Kazrak, the One Eye, leading the forces. He is going to be bringing the Apocalyptic Vision, as well as Primal Fury, and he's going to, of course, be on his chariot, and he'll be supported by a Brace Shaman of Wild, going to be bringing Viletide. We have Brace Scream, Savage Domination for a little Cygor support, and Jagged Dagger to get a little bit extra power recharge on top of that. But for the army, it is going to be entirely Centaurs. We are going to have a mix of Centaurs with great weapons with the regular variant, and we will have 4 Centaurs with throwing axes to boot. And so it is going to be quite the mobile force. They do have the armor-piercing values to really deal with the large targets of the Lizardmen. I want to see if they're going to be able to sustain that, and if Honey's micro is going to be up for the task. For the rest of the forces for the Lizardmen, we do have pretty much all skinks here, as we do have skink cohorts for that front line, going to be backed up by some skink cohorts with the javelins. We do have a pair of stegodons, though, with the Thunderous One and an Ancient Stegodon. So Thunderous One is going to be doing some good work there. Has armor piercing, does have poison on its back, and it has the Judgment of Uxmak, or however you pronounce that, which does do a little bit of lightning strikes when it's engaged in melee, though I don't know if it's going to be able to be really engaging in melee with what the Beastmen have brought to the table. In the sky, we do have Tehenuin up on his Ripperdactyl. He is going to be bringing Flakadoom, Transformation of Kadan. He does have a couple of Skink Chiefs for support on the ground, and we do have triple Pterodon Riders as well for some aerial support. So we'll see how things shake up as we get things underway, as both armies are going to approach one another. The Cloven ones will be going through the forest here as the Centaurs do advance. Now they should be able to screen out the Pterodon Riders quite well with their throwing axes. Even on top of that, though, they do have just very good mobility, so should be able to get some nice surrounds off on the Lizardmen forces. It looks like the Brace Shaman of Wild is going to be moving up a little bit. Might be looking to get some is going to be summoning the Cygor. So the Cygor is going to be firing in as the Lizardmen approach, kind of forcing their hand here, and even the Brace Shaman can just probably circle around, get some Viletides or the like in. But for now, that Cygor is going to be opening up and firing away with its boulders, going to be landing right into the middle here of those skink cohorts. Not doing a whole lot of damage, only killing a couple models. Not really any really good targets for them anyways. Most of the targets, of course, are skinks. You do have the cohort of Sotek who could potentially even just fire into the even the Pterodons might not be such a bad choice. But pretty much is just going to force their hand, and eventually they will get in range, and they'll probably actually do better in melee than it is going to be doing at range. But the Centaurs are going to be getting some nice fear charges off. Beautiful one, a nice little side charge here, avoiding those cohort of Sotek, as the skinks are just getting relentlessly charged here, taking a ton of damage off of the initial charges as well. That front line is almost buckling already. But there is still quite a bit of stopping power for the Lizardmen, as a Transformation of Kadan is going to be going down in the mix here. Might be looking to go after Kazrak, or just pretty much screen out the Centaurs as best they can. But for now, the Centaurs and the Beastmen are going to be content with just cycling in and out, already breaking some of the skink cohort on that front line. 2 units already gone and dusted. We do have the Feral Manicore going to be engaging with Kazrak, and the cohort of Sotek will be joining in that battle. Now, Kazrak probably going to want to be pulling out here, doesn't want to be getting caught up. He's taking a decent amount of damage right now. And he is going to be pulling out indeed. Now the rest of the mobility is just going to be chasing down all of these skinks here, as most of them have just been pretty much broken very, very quickly. We do have these Pterodon Riders who are going to be doing some decent work, just firing away, plucking away, especially at these Centaurs with throwing axes. That's kind of what they need to get off the table as quickly as they can. Might be going for some rock drops right here, and that is exactly what they're doing some nice bit of damage there. Because those Centaurs with throwing axes is going to be the Beastmen's best bet at dealing with these ancient Stegodons. And Kazrak, though, has taken a ton of damage early on from that first summon of the Feral Manicore. He's going to be very, very careful, because here is that second summon, and Kazrak is not all so quick on his feet when he is on his chariot. If we take a little look, he does have, well, right now, he has 70 speed versus the Feral Manicores, which do have 85. So yeah, he will be getting caught out by them. So losing Kazrak, it's not necessarily the worst. They still, actually, I was going to say, they still have their Brave Shaman, but no, they do not. But Brave Shaman should be returning to the field. So losing the leadership is going to be a bit of a predicament for the Beastmen. Lizardmen definitely knowing which targets to go after, kind of breaking the leadership, and then just hoping that the rest of the Senegors just can't kill their two Ancient Stegodons, because their Skinks really going to be struggling pretty hard to deal with them. But if they get rid of the range, get rid of the leadership, that's going to be very, very helpful. A little Flock of Doom, going to be catching a few of the Senegors, doing a decent amount of damage from them. But in comes Tehenwyn, going to be going after the Brave Shaman, who has been a little idle. He's probably going to be routing very quickly here. Tehenwyn does have some nice damage output, though if he does get caught out, it will be a bit of a is a bit of a glass cannon character there. As the Senegor is trying to respond to that, but it looks like that Brave Shaman has taken quite a bit of damage indeed. And I don't think he will be coming back, especially now that Tehenwyn is going to be right on top of him. The rest of the throwing axes just need to try and pluck away at this Ancient Stegodon, as I think the initial advantage that the Beastmen have is slowly dwindling bit by bit. As you can see them chasing down all of the Skinks, but that's going to be the easy pickings for the Beastmen. They're going to have to deal with these Pterodon Riders and these two Ancient Stegodons. And they are both sitting pretty healthy in terms of HP. As you take a little look into the forest line, we do have some Senegors with throwing axes there. And the Brave Shaman actually has returned. Needs to be very, very careful, all things considered. The Senegors with throwing axes just kind of hiding in the tree line a little bit, trying to shield themselves as best they can from the shots of the Pterodons Riders. But Pterodons are going to be jumping into melee in the back there, trying to chase off more of the throwing axes. And you can see how much ammo that these units of throwing axes have left. And that is kind of going to be the kind of the story and how this is going to shake out into the late game, especially now because they need their great weapons to stay alive now that their throwing axes have been pretty much depleted. If we take a look off into the flanks, we do see that there are still some very healthy throwing Senegors with great weapons, and just some other Senegors all kind of spread out across the map, as Kazrak One Eye has emerged from the tree line, looking to lead his forces in the late game, as he has survived that initial onslaught. But they have lost their magic support, as the Ray Shaman, you can see, is shattered in the back. Tehenwyn doing a very good job with that. Very nice mobile Lord sniping so far in this match. And yeah, we're just going to have to watch as the Beastmen just kind of weather the storm from the Pterodon Riders. Pterodon Riders almost out of ammunition themselves. And the Ancient Stegodons also have used up pretty much all of their ammunition. So the only thing left that the Lizardmen have at range is going to be the Skink Chiefs. They don't really have that much damage output. But here is going to be Kazrak, the One Eye, engaging with Tehenwyn. Now Tehenwyn is going to actually be caught out by a lot of these units. He does get a Flock of Doom down, but getting a little bit ahead of himself, as it looks like he is going to be routing here. Pterodon Riders collapsing in, trying to save their lord, but Tehenwyn definitely now going to be the prey in this fight, as the Senegors have gotten a nice round off, and you can just see how fast his HP melted there, and he's probably going to shatter, if not just outright drop here. And he does shatter, and he may very well just fall nonetheless. Pterodon Riders as well, committing to this engagement. They have pretty much used up their usefulness with their range attacks, and they are just all getting shattered, killed, and the like. And a very, very good engagement right here for the Beastmen, able to deal with all of the flyers. We will have one of the Pterodon Riders come back, I'm guessing, but they have completely eliminated two of them. They have killed Tehenwyn. And now they have to deal with the hardest prey of the lot, is going to be these two Ancient Stegodons. And they're going to have to be very on top of things to cycle charge them all down. But they should really eliminate the Skink cohort with Javelins, get rid of that support. And if they can, try and deal with the Skink Chiefs. That is going to be, I believe, Kazrak's pretty much keen target here, is to deal with these. Let all of his Senegors try and whittle down these Ancient Stegodons bit by bit. And we'll see if it is going to be enough to chunk through all of that HP, because they have quite a stack, about 8k between the two of them. But a nice little surround off. And the other way that they might actually drop is going to be with leadership. As you can see, their leadership is dropping faster than their HP. So if they're able to rout any of them, especially now that they're away from the support of their skink chiefs, the skink chiefs really should be a little bit closer to these ancient stegodons, if not just right in melee, because then they'll be finding a little bit of extra leadership. Now that the Thunderous Run trying to get into these Centaurs with throwing axes, but the returning Pterodon Riders do that themselves. Again, that was one of the big threats for them. As you can see now, the Kazrak definitely going for those targets I was mentioned about earlier. He is going to be hunting down that skink chief, getting those guys off the field and eliminating that poison source as well. But these Centaurs, you can just see them getting absolutely broken down. They haven't really been doing a whole lot of cycle charging, but these, just as those throwing axes were able to rout off those Pterodon Riders, they themselves shatter. But away goes one of the ancient stegodons, and we do have returning Centaurs here, should be able to escort them off. But these ancient stegodons, they do have terror, and even though they're routing, that terror is still applied. So these Centaurs here with great weapons are terrified of this ancient steg, and if they're have low leadership, even a chase might not be the easiest thing in the world. But Kazrak One Eye, he is almost down. He is getting very, very low on HP. Both of these two skink chiefs have been able to just kind of whittle him down bit by bit. But the Thunderous One is going to be wavering as well, and just as Kazrak does get engaged, it might rout here, but it has stabilized its leadership a little bit. A Cold-Blooded, a very nice cast by our use of that, keeping its leadership in the green just as it was about to rout, and had that one routed, that may have spelled the end for the Beastmen here, but the Beastmen do break, and the Lizardmen are able to withstand the tide and carry the day once more. So let's take a little look at the after battle report. Very nice build by Honey Nut. I do love bringing all of these Centaurs, and some of them did fairly decent work. The great weapons did, 2,300 on this one here, doing a ton of damage to those ancient stegodons. Otherwise, I think the biggest mistake, I should say, for this build was allowing the Centaurs with throwing axes to take so much damage, because the Beastmen absolutely needed them to either screen out the Pterodon Riders or to deal with the ancient stegodons, especially in the late game. And only having one very low unit definitely hurt there, because you can just see like only 89, 123 on this one, and you can see these other two that were actually in that fight getting a lot more value. And had all four of them been in, I think it would have been a much better match for that Beastmen army. As you can see now, the ancient stegodons getting a ton of value between the two of them, able to really dish out the damage to those Centaurs. Pterodon Riders doing their thing, and I'm going to guess Tahenoin did pretty well. Actually, not as well as I would have expected. He did quite a bit of damage to both Kazrak and the Bray Shaman, though I guess most of that damage was done with his Feral Manticore summon. So unfortunately, that doesn't count towards his own damage, so we don't really get to see how much they did. It'd be an interesting thing to maybe add. But otherwise, the skinks pretty much doing nothing. Some of them getting a little bit of damage done, but they got broken down so quickly by the Centaur's rush early on. But nonetheless, that was a very fun match, very close one, almost being able to pull it back, but those ancient stegodons able to withstand the assault. Well, that's all I'm going to have. I hope you did enjoy the video today, and as always, have a good one.